Hey squad, welcome back. Now before we get into the video, I just want to extend a massive thank you to all of you guys who have been so supportive in helping my channel achieve another huge milestone. Over this past week, my subscriber count has exceeded 8,000 subs, and that's down to you guys, so thank you so much. I'm absolutely thrilled with this result. Now, as I said before, slow and steady is my game. Now, if I can round off the year with over 10,000 subs, I would be over the moon. Rest assured, I'll continue to bring you high quality music production videos each week. Now in today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can create this R&B beat playing in the background using some of the tools in Logic that are often overlooked, such as the Note Repeater and the Arpeggiator, along with some of the effects and software instruments that are often left on the shelf. Now, as always, if you're feeling what I'm doing, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can also support the channel by making a donation at musictechdraining.com/donate. There you'll find links to my Patreon as well as my crypto addresses. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, to start things off, let me show you some of the tools I'll be using for this tutorial. So under MIDI effects, I'm going to be using the Arpeggiator, the Note Repeater. In terms of instruments, the drum synth. And in terms of effects, under multi-effects, I'll be using the Step Effects plugin. I'll also be using a range of different instruments and plugins. Now, in order to keep the length of the video down, I'll leave the actual MIDI programming and do that offline. I assure you it will all make sense once you watch the video. You won't actually miss out on anything. Okay, so we're going to start things off with the drum synth. Right here we've got the deep tom loaded, and that sounds a bit like this. The other thing that we're going to be using is the Arpeggiator. Now this is one of the main tools we'll be using throughout this tutorial, and it really is a fantastic way of adding really interesting and creative elements to your production. So let's just switch this on. Now I'm going to hit my note. So as you can see right here, the step rate is at 1/16th, and all that's happening is my C4 note is repeating at a rate of 1/16th interval. Okay, now let's play a chord instead, a G minor chord. Now we're using our drum synth in a melodic way rather than in a percussive way. This is a really useful way of broadening the scope of some of these stock instruments. I'm going to switch off the Arpeggiator for a minute, record a simple chord pattern. We'll then do some manipulation with the Arpeggiator. Okay, so here's our chord. It's actually a G minor 7, 9, 11. Okay, and what I've done is I've made sure all of the velocities are exactly the same. They're set to 50. I've used the velocity limiter, which you can access using Command 9. The drum synth itself has the option of poly, mono, or gated mode. I've left it on mono mode, so only one note can be sounded at any one time. If it was on poly mode, this is what it would sound like. On mono mode, this is what you get. Single note. Next thing I'm going to introduce is my Arpeggiator. So let's bring this in and let's play this back and let's hear what the Arpeggiator does with this chord. We've got 6 notes in this chord, and all that's happening is the Arpeggiator is rotating the 6 notes starting from the lowest note all the way to the top and then back around again. So let's quickly go through some of these options. So we've got up, down, alternate up and down, and then we've got random right here. Also, we've got over here, we've got some variation as well. So let's go back to up and down, switch that to the second variation. How about this one? We could also extend the octave. So let's bring this back to like 2 and extend the range of notes over 2 octaves. Adjust the rate at which the notes are played. these are the main controls that you have at your disposal. If we come down to grid, we can create our own velocity grid. If we come down here to factory, and if we switch this on, start here, and here's our velocities starting low, going high, and then coming back down. Let's play that back. There's some really interesting grooves that you can use. So let's go to this one right here. Let's check this one out. Now things are starting to become more interesting, because you probably wouldn't instinctively come up with this melodic pattern using these note choices and these velocities. Now this is where we start to dig into the power of a tool such as the arpeggiator. Now let's come over here to options and let's add a bit of swing to this. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so again, some more control over the timing. The note repeater, another great tool that's often unused in music production. It's a really simple tool. All you do is you hit a note and it repeats a number of times. So I'm going to hit the note C3. Okay, I've not held the note and it's simply repeated 3 times. Let's increase the number of repeats. Let's go for, I don't know, 6. Okay, so that's the number of repeats. The rate of repeat, we can change that as well. So let's go down to a quarter note and let's reduce this back down to 3. You can go the other way. We can increase it to 16th note intervals. The other thing you can do as well is you can transpose. So let's go like so. Let's bring this up 2 semitones. How about 7? That's transposing up. How about we transpose down by -5? And the other thing you can do as well is use a velocity ramp. So by pushing it this way, the notes start lower and get louder. And the other way, they start louder and get lower over time. Now I'm going to adjust the parameters here and check out how that sounds along with the arpeggiator. I'm just going to add an EQ, remove some of the lows right here, and I'm going to add a stereo delay. Let's put the metronome back on. Let's go back. That's where we started from, all right? Really simple touches, but really interesting results. Okay, so let's move on to another instrument. Okay, so for my next element, I have opened up a sampler instrument and I have gone for another percussive sound. Drums and percussion, single drums, toms, electronic toms, and I've gone for this one here, B17. All right, and it sounds like this. So I'm going to switch on the note repeater now, and we're going to use that to come up with another interesting melodic pattern. Here's what it sounds like by default. So now let me come up with my own pattern. Let's just add a couple of elements to this now. So we're going to use a spreader. We're going to have a low cut filter as well on there. Take some of those lows out. Auto filter. And let's have a listen to that now. Now let's mix that in with our original toms. So things are definitely taking shape. Let's move on to our next instrument, sculpture. This has got some awesome presets in there if you were to take the time to check it out. I'm going to put down an ambient pad. The chord played is this one right here. Now Now that's going to give us a nice range of notes for the arpeggiator to create an interesting melody. So let's switch on the arpeggiator and let's see what it comes up with. Okay, let's switch on the note repeater as well. And let's combine this with the rest of the elements so far. Taking shape. Now that sculpture sound was made up just like this. This rate, this pattern, not much in terms of variation here. I'm using the escalating groove, and over on this side, I've got a 12 interval transpose with 3 repeats at a 1/8 division. And that's what's giving us that evolving texture in the ambient pad. Okay, so time to move on to the next sound. Our next production element comes from Alchemy. And the sound I've chosen is the evolving currents. Now I've put down a quick chord pattern right here, which sounds like this. Once again, I've gone down to the factory presets and I've used the chord burst 3. And I've gone for this setup right here. And the final touch I've introduced is the step effects. So let's switch that on. I've just gone for one of the presets, Chaos Spring under ambiances. So let's have a listen to that now. Okay, we're actually getting there. So let's move on to our next element. Okay, so I'm going to start to introduce some drums for the rhythm section. So to start off, I've pulled in a hi-hat sample into the quick sampler right here. And this is what it sounds like. And now I'm going to open up the arpeggiator. I'm going to go for 1/32 rate. I'm not changing anything else apart from the rate, and I'm going to come down here and I'm using the Groove Pulse 1. So have a listen to this. Switch it off. Here's me just tapping. And now with the arpeggiator, listen to this really cool hi-hat groove. And there's loads of different grooves that you can try out here, especially for your hi-hats. And you can experiment with these. Now, I've just put down a really simple hi-hat pattern. Time to move on to the next element. We're just going to put down a shaker just here and here. Let's have a listen. Okay, and now by using the arpeggiator with this setting right here, I've gone for a dotted 64th interval and no other variations really. Let's listen to this on and off. Now I've got that really nice tight shake by using the arpeggiator on this percussion sound. Now the next thing we're going to do is add our bass line. Now another excellent Logic software synth which goes far too often unused is the ESP. Now I'm using it for my bass line and you can definitely get some great bass sounds out of this. Just pull up a preset, make some modifications to it and you'll have something pretty cool. The sound I'm going for today is this one. And I'm going to be using it, of course, in conjunction with the arpeggiator. I'm just going to use step rate of 1/16 up and 2 octaves. Okay, so let's hear that. I'm going to go away now, program something up, and we'll see how this new pattern fits in with what we've got already. Okay, so here's the baseline pattern that I've come up with. So now I'm going to go away, sort out the drums, then I'll come back, I'll add 2 more sections, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I've added my drums and I've begun to arrange this into progression. Now there's a couple other things I've done with the evolving synths. So these 2 parts right here, these pads right here. What I've done is I've sent them to a bus. So I've sent them to bus 6, and on bus 6 I've got a plugin called Kickstart by Nicky Romero, and what it does, it allows you to create that pump effect on your tracks. So have a listen to this on and off. A really cool plugin, and I recommend you grab that one. I'll have a link in the description as well. So here's a track so far with the drums. I'm going to be adding a couple more elements and then we'll be done. Okay, so I'm just going to put down this keyboard part as a new layer on top of what we've got. I'll then add a melody and then I'll mix it and we're done. So have a listen to the keys. Okay, so here's one more technique you can use to spice up your productions. What you do is you open up Alchemy, as I've got here, and we're on the default setting. So that sounds like this. Okay, now we come up here to File, Initialize Preset, make sure you're on Advanced, and you come up here to Sources and Source A, then we're going to go to Import Audio. Now you can import your audio from any location on your hard drive. I'm going to go for something that already exists in the Alchemy sample library. So under vocals down here, double click on that, solo vocals, sustain, and then lo-fi. And then I'm just going to go for this one right here, the B3. And that's got a preview on there already. So I'm just going to import that like so. And now I can play that sound back on my keyboard. I'm just going to add a couple of effects onto the channel strip. So a compressor and an EQ. Okay, so in addition to the effects plugins that I've used on the channel strip, I've also decided to use some of the effects that are built into Alchemy. So if you come just down here to effects, you click on that, I've used the acoustic reverb, delay, and fat compressor. I'm just going to play back the melody and bring these in so you can actually hear how these effects are enhancing what's going on already. Reverb. And now some delay. And that last compressor. Let me finish doing all of the leveling on this, and then I'll play it all the way through and it's a wrap. Okay, so before I finish up, I just added one final element. I'm using, again, a much underused Logic synth, which is the ES1. I've gone for a simple preset using the Moog Pulse preset under leads right here. Adjusted the attack time, the analog setting, and the glide. That's about it, really. The synth is set to legato, so only one note's going to sound at any one time, similar to a mono synth. That's all you get. Okay. However, with the arpeggiator, this is what you get. I've gone again for one of the presets, which is grooving velocity 01, 1/16th step rate with 2 octave range, and I've gone for the random setting. So let's hear that back, and then I'll explain to you why I've used that setting. This is the part that I've created just now, all right? And the reason I've gone for random is for each time this part is played, you'll get a random pattern of notes. So the melody is always going to be changing whenever this comes in. And that's another little production trick you can use when using the arpeggiator. Anyway, let's play this back and we're done. Great stuff. I really do hope you found the video useful. If you did, drop me a line in the comment section, like the video and subscribe to the channel. This will really help me out. Now remember to support me at deucebeats.com as well as on my social media channels. And finally, switch on that notification bell so just like the rest of the MTTC squad, you will find out as soon as my next video drops. Until next time, I'm Dr. Deuce. Peace.